How many of us are happy with the lives we lead, working like slaves just to make ends meet, month to month, paycheck to paycheck, and wondering when we're going to find some sort of, you know, some sort of something to give us a break from
Yeah.
this non-stop stress and anxiety and anguish and frustration with the systems. I started to think about and imagine what a world would look like if we started to take care of ourselves in our own communities. If we weren't so dependent on money, and how can we escape the system?
One of the definitions of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. We're all disgruntled, we're all fed up. I think a lot of us have had our eyes open to so much corruption, lies, programming. Right, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome today's guest onto the Live, Love, Learn podcast. It's a guest that many of you might know, but the first time on my podcast, Michael Tellinger. Now, Michael is a scientist, explorer, humanitarian, and an internationally acclaimed author of 4 books, including Slave Species of the Gods and Ubuntu Contributionalism, a blueprint for human prosperity. So, Michael graduated from Wits Medical School in South Africa in 1983 with a degree in pharmacy, but his path has taken him far beyond conventional science. He's really well known for uncovering ancient, vanished civilizations in southern Africa, a discovery that includes millions of mysterious stone structures dating back over 300,000 years. His work suggests these ruins were advanced energy generating devices. I love all this, Michael, and linked to ancient gold mining and even the Anunnaki. In 2008, he established the Stone Circle Museum, which holds an extraordinary collection of ancient artifacts, including evidence of giants challenging our entire view of history. And honestly, I think everyone watching my or listening to my podcast is in challenging everything we know about our history. But perhaps his most inspiring, which we're going to really focus on today, is Michael's One Small Town initiative, a growing global movement offering simple, practical solutions for creating unity, prosperity, and sustainable living in local communities. Since 2007, Michael has shared his discoveries and vision in over 35 countries, 300 cities, connecting the dots between ancient wisdom, sound technology, consciousness, and modern science. So, wow, that's a pretty impressive CV, Michael. Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing?
It's excellent. Thank you for that lovely introduction, Catherine. Lovely to meet you and lovely to be talking to you.
Well, there's so much we could cover, but for this particular interview, we're really going to focus in on the One Small Town initiative. And, Michael, we're in a time of huge stress, change, instability. I think, from your bio, most people are realizing that what we've been told in most areas of our lives, particularly our history, is just not true. So before we dive into what is One Small Town, can you tell us from your perspective, why is it so important that we're having this conversation now and we're getting the word out more about this initiative?
Thanks, Catherine. And you're quite right. I'm as passionate as I am about making the discoveries of the ancient civilizations, which are mind-boggling and really it changes your complete perspective and thought about what you think about our human history, the world, our Earth, the nature of reality, and so many other different things, and ancient technologies that I've discovered and so forth. But once you've processed that and you take a step back, and that's what happened to me, I realized, okay, great, these are fantastic discoveries. This is awesome. This is going to blow people's minds, but how is that going to help us into the future? How is it going to help us get from waking up every morning, feeling terrible about your life? And I'm now pretty much reflecting of what billions of people go through every day.
Yeah.
And Just, how many of us are happy with what's going on in the world? How many of us are happy with the lives we lead, working like slaves just to make ends meet, month to month, paycheck to paycheck, and wondering when we're going to find some sort of, um, you know, some sort of something to give us a break from
Yeah,
this non-stop stress and anxiety and anguish and frustration with the systems, frustration with our governments, frustration with nothing is going right, and everything seems to be breaking down around us. I know I'm painting a terrible doom and gloom scenario, but if you really are going to be realistic and truthful about what's going on in the world, that's what most people go through. Most people live miserable lives looking for some sort
yeah,
of resolution and escape from this insanity we find ourselves in. Now, that's where the Once More Town model and the philosophy comes in. Because I don't want to live like this anymore. And I know that I speak for billions of people that feel the same way. And in 2007, around there, I started to think about and imagine what a world would look like if we started to take care of ourselves in our own communities. If we weren't so dependent on money, and how can we escape the system? What should we do, and how can we create communities of prosperity and abundance that are lasting, that are not just short-term solutions and then
yeah.
fall into collapse again, because that seems to happen all the time. So, and that took me on an incredible journey of discovery and rediscovery, that led to the formation of the One Small Town Initiative, which is in many ways based on the African philosophy of Ubuntu, which means, we take care of ourselves. I am who we are because of I am who I am because of who we are as a group, as a community. And that's slowly but surely grown into a global initiative with millions of people that are aware of it around the world. And we've had to go through a lot of learning from
Yeah.
experience of what doesn't work. We've had to look at existing and historic intentional communities that people have tried to set up that failed. Why did they fail? Why isn't there a single intentional community in the world today that we can use as an example? All of them have failed. Otherwise, we'd be using some of them as an example, and we can't. So that's what's taken almost 2 decades to slowly build, gradually learn from our experiences and use that knowledge and experience to create a stable, solid foundation for what we now not just believe, but we know is a solution for the plight, the misery, the unhappiness of billions of people around the world. People that live in small towns can take this model and start to implement it for themselves.
I love it. And there's so much that I want to unpack because I first heard about One Small Town, I think back in 2020. And I love the idea, but I couldn't quite picture how it worked. And one of the issues that I had, Michael, was look, 2020 was a big wake up call for a lot of people. Obviously, a lot of people have been on that journey for a long while, but a lot more people began to start to question, like, what is this life? How we've been programmed. It doesn't serve us. It serves very few of the so-called elites at the top. But in that process of people questioning that, what we found is that we were connecting globally in communities to find like-minded people that actually wanted to get off their backsides, do something and make a change. And they were going to say, no more, I'm not accepting it anymore. But myself included, many of us, Michael, didn't find those people that wanted that change in our local towns, in our local villages. So could you explain to us and me exactly where you're at with One Small Town now, what it is, and is it based around you've got to do it in your locality, or can we take that global connection idea and help it work like that as well?
Well, Catherine, that's a very good analogy and question. And the answer is yes to both those ideas and thoughts. So One Small Town is a global initiative that connects people in small towns across the world to each other. And
Oh, wow.
that's really what we had to develop. But it starts locally. It starts for you in your community. So it's not it's not my initiative. It's not me coming to your town and doing this thing for you. It's you taking the model that we've created, or not the model, the platform, the structure that we've created, which is a blockchain platform that helps to manage all the things that you want to do as a community. It helps you to sign up members in your town that want to join you, so that you know who's a member of your One Small Town initiative in your own community. We've created a membership card system. We've created a blockchain platform with our own reward system, which we call the Infinity Token. So it literally steps in where Bitcoin failed us and did not provide an alternative means of exchange that so many of us hoped it would become. And so we've got there on the platform. There are accounting systems, there are project management systems, there are business planning systems, everything you need to start successful community activities and businesses.
Yeah.
The which normally would cost you thousands of pounds, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds, just to set that up, and then thousands of pounds every month to maintain that. Now, when you join One Small Town, you get all of this for free. So, we really invite people that if you live in any small town anywhere in the world, in the English-speaking world at the moment, because to translate all of this in the blockchain into other languages is a huge job. So we have to first launch this in the English-speaking world. So we now have everything ready, and it's now up to people in small towns to find us and realize, oh my goodness, I see what you've done. This is fantastic. I can use this platform to bring people in my town together and start launching this initiative. Now, what does it mean to launch the initiative? That's obviously the next thing people would want to know. And there are two things to One Small Town. First of all, there's no financial implication. Nobody has to pay anything into anything. It's voluntary. You're not forced to join One Small Town. So it could be one individual in a town like yourself to say, I want to launch this. I'm going to become an ambassador or the community project coordinator, and I'm going to drive this thing myself in my town. Then I'll go out and sign up a bunch of people, and it's all for free. Use the platform that we've created, and then the only thing that you commit to when you become a member of One Small Town, no matter what town or community you're in, you're committing to contributing 3 hours of time per week towards your community. 3 hours a week towards community upliftment projects or businesses that you've chosen to start. So there are two aspects to One Small Town. Just before I go there, you can imagine if you have a town of 10,000 people, and everybody contributes 3 hours a week. You now have 30,000 hours of free labor, because this is us. We're contributing this time for free. We're not working for someone, so we don't have labor issues. It's not a job. We choose to work together, cooperate and collaborate, and contribute 3 hours of our time towards fixing our town, whatever may be wrong with it. We decide what we want to fix, or starting new businesses, for which we then sit and write business plans. We identify the low-hanging fruit. What are the most the quickest businesses we can start that'll give us a quick profit and return on our time and investment, from the small ones and the low-hanging fruits to the very large businesses. Whether we want to start a brewery, it's going to cost 100 million pounds to launch, or anything. So it's up to us and the people in our community that come together, that put the foundation into place. And the platform is there to help you manage everything. And that platform is the critical thing and has been the missing link in all other intentional communities that has caused them to fail. Because the platform that we have provides all the tools you need, plus accountability and reporting and management structures, without which you can't run businesses. You can't even organize community upliftment programs like picking up rubbish or fixing potholes or whatever it is that you choose to do, fixing your parks, or helping the orphanages and old age homes and so forth. So there is so much that we can do once we start to operate and collaborate in a coordinated and structured way. So we all know what we're doing, who's doing what. And you can just imagine when you have 30,000 hours a week of our members contributing the time, how much stuff you have to do. So we have to have a bunch of businesses in place so that our people can go and work in those businesses. whether it's standing guard or picking up boxes or delivering stuff or whatever. There's always menial labor that you need besides the top management structure and some of the expertise that you need. The rest of the work and the labor force is pretty much somebody that can be trained very quickly to do the work, whether
Yeah.
it's in a factory folding clothes or sealing boxes or loading a truck or all these things. So what I always encourage people is to identify, when you start thinking about one small town, identify the businesses that are very labor intensive, because the one thing that we have in our town is labor. And that's the one thing that the big corporations are trying to eliminate. They're all trying to eliminate labor because that's where the cost is. That's
Yeah.
what costs them so much money. So what I've just shared with you shows you very quickly how we as a town, say of 10,000 people, suddenly become a fierce competitor to any multinational corporation with several thousand employees. Because if you had to pay, 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 employees every week for their time, that's a very big company that has to pay millions of pounds just in labor costs. And because we as a town, we pretty much treat our town as a big company of which we are the shareholders and the profit shareholders. Um, and we decide what we're going to do, what we're going to start, what businesses we're going to start. Then we put in the top management that we believe are the best management to run our businesses for us. And then we do the rest of the work so we don't have to pay a labor force.
Yeah.
So in essence, that's as simple as it is. But to manage that and make it successful, we've had to create, and we've learned the hard way, I can tell you, we've had to create this incredibly powerful and multifaceted, integrated blockchain platform that helps to manage this entire structure. It is quite spectacular.
It really is. I mean, I'm pretty good at project management, but my brain's a little bit scrambled at the moment. So going back to an example of someone like me living in my little village town, have you got examples where people have actually put this into place yet? What stage is it at? Have you got any working examples across the globe at all?
No, the answer to that is categorically no. Because if we had examples, people won't have to talk to me. They'd be looking at the examples and they'd be doing it themselves.
Yeah,
Our biggest learning, I guess, surprise was that as excited and as thrilled people are to get involved, and they put up their hand and say, I want to be your ambassador, I'll be your
yeah,
ambassador, because they get excited. People want to do this, they're desperate, they want to do it, and so forth. And then as soon as we appoint the ambassadors, then we realize, and this has been my fault, I should have seen this coming. I've been doing this for nearly 20 years. So this comes easy to me. I know what to do. I know what's the first step? What do I do next, and so forth. And I can't expect somebody who's just discovered us a week ago and gets excited and say, well, I want to be your ambassador. It is completely unrealistic for me to expect for that person to know exactly what to do.
yeah,
So now, unfortunately, the onus falls on me. And I have to hold their hand and guide them and take them through the process. And that, unfortunately, in the last 3 years, where it's fallen down time and time again, where people with the best intentions in mind and our best support have not provided enough support because we're doing it remotely at a distance.
yeah,
And we keep learning, where do these potential ambassadors run into a wall? Where do they find problems and how to solve those problems and so forth? So we've now reached a stage where we've had to come up with different ways to launch One Small Town that doesn't just chuck the ambassadors or the community project coordinators into the deep end, that they can start this slowly, gently, without too much fanfare and too much financial implications and cost. Start it gently and slowly and grow it organically into what becomes the big One Small Town initiative. Now, I just want to tell people, if they're watching this and wondering, well, how big is this going to get? Any business that employs 4,000 employees or more does a minimum of $1 billion profit per annum. Just let that sink in. Okay. Just let that sink in. So if we as a town of 10,000 members don't do the same numbers, we're doing something wrong, right? Because we're saving costs on labor. We can start any businesses we want, and any small town could have 100 businesses up and running in a relatively short space of time. Because once you start working in agriculture and growing off food and all the value chain line items from corn and rice and wheat and everything that comes from it, you have a bunch of businesses that are all connected to the source of where the food comes from.
Yeah.
So just in the food industry, we could have 100 different businesses quite quickly. And then you get to engineering and technology and communication and transport and healthcare and education and all the other things we need to do, right? We could start a fridge factory or a laptop business or a bicycle factory or whatever. It's up to us in our community to come together and say, right, what can we do in our community that would be a good business model that'll give us good profits, that we can put our people to work, create a number of permanent jobs, and then a whole thousands of work opportunities for our members. And while we're doing this, we're growing food for ourselves. We're providing food for ourselves and food kitchens for those that are homeless and hungry. And that applies differently to different scenarios in different countries, obviously.
Yeah.
We have the One Small Town store that once you've contributed your 3 hours, you get your infinity token that's automatically deposited into your digital wallet in your account. And then you can go and have a plate of food after you've contributed your 3 hours. And then at the end of the week, once you got a bunch of infinity tokens, you can go to the One Small Town store and get stuff off the shelf with your tokens without having to have pounds or dollars or euros. And that's a game changer. So now you no longer have to have a job to earn pounds. You can simply work within the One Small Town activities, whether it's fixing our roads or parks or whatever it is, or working for 3 hours in our clinic or in the cornflake factory or in the shoe factory, whatever business we start, or in the fields picking and harvesting food. For every 3 hours you contribute, you get a token. So we're paying ourselves with our own cryptocurrency, but it's a community token. It is an NFT. You can never lose it. It can never be crashed or degraded like cryptocurrencies can. It's not traded in open stock markets and open platforms. It belongs to the One Small Town community members around the world, and you can use it in any town, in any community, in any country, wherever you may go.
Yeah.
It's quite a spectacular system.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions, actually, Michael, is, obviously so many people are worried about the central bank digital currencies. And, I don't know if you've seen much of what's been going on across Europe with the energy outages. I know you in South Africa are quite used to that compared to what we are. But, there's a couple of issues there with if we're breaking free from the way of living with this side of things. I mean, it's so exciting to think that getting something like this off the time, because I think so many people realize we can't just keep tweaking what we've already got. We've got to go and recreate something completely new with all the lessons that we've learned. But a couple of risk managers with my risk management hat on there. One, the power supplies. So there's going to be a lot of people in control, whether it's politicians or whoever's or the banks, whatever, that are not going to want people to step outside the system. So does it sit outside the sort of normal tax systems of countries? And also for people like me that are quite skeptical of anything digital when it comes to money, how relaying the fears of it's not a control system like the digital currencies.
So very important things that you mentioned there. You're quite right. The system is broken. And, I've been saying this since 2005. System is broken and it cannot be fixed.
No.
So we can't try and fix the system or fight the system because the system is rigged and set up to keep control and to keep humanity enslaved. That's a strong statement, but that's pretty much what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
So as Buckminster Fuller said very wisely, if you want to change a system, you don't fight it. You create a new system that makes the existing system obsolete. And that's pretty much what we're doing. We're not breaking the laws. We're not going against the system. We're not fighting anyone. We're simply using the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. So we're using everything from the fiat currency system. We're setting up businesses. So we make as much profit in pounds as we can. That profit, imagine if our little town starts to make, 100 million pounds profit a year or more. Where do you think the power is going to lie if there are 1,000 small towns across the UK that are as successful as that because they've
Yeah.
simply started their own businesses? Where do you think the power is going to shift to? It's obvious. It's going to sit with the people in the small towns because they run the businesses. We've started our businesses. We making the profits. We call the shots. So we don't have to fight anyone about that. The banks, and plus keep in mind that at the same time, while we have the strong financial security in fiat currency, the pound or dollar or euro, we also have a very strong developed private membership reward system, the Infinity token, that is driving our own town in our own private membership structures, which is unheard of. It's unprecedented.
Yeah.
We've had a bunch of cryptocurrencies that have been launched, but every single cryptocurrency is intended to enrich somebody or some group of people somewhere.
Exactly.
It is not there to help communities and help people improve their lives. The Infinity token has stepped in and is doing exactly that. And it's going to be a matter of just time now until the crypto heads realize the power of the Infinity token. It is unquestionably the most stable and powerful community exchange system in the world today. It's just
Yeah.
the penny has to just drop for people in the crypto heads to realize what we've done. Once you've got your token in your digital wallet as a member, either your membership card, your One Small Town membership card, which is like a credit card, which if you've got tokens in there, you can go into a One Small Town store and get stuff. You don't need pounds or dollars. You don't need to belong to a bank. It's mind blowing, right?
Yeah.
Right. And remember, we stock our own store. A One Small Town store is stocked by us, our community members.
Yeah.
So we use fiat currency to buy the produce to stock our store
Yeah.
so that we don't need fiat currency for those people that don't have jobs to go and get the stuff that we need. So that's why I say we use the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation because we own the businesses, we make the profits, we choose how much of the profits we use to acquire goods and stuff for the shelves in our One Small Town store. But it's also the One Small Town store is also a trading store. And I'm digressing a bit. Maybe I'll come back to the One Small Town store. So we don't break any laws or rules. So we first of all, there was in the beginning there were some concerns that the Labor Department is going to come after you because all these people are working for free and all this. No, we're not working for free. We're the 60% shareholders of these businesses.
Yeah.
60. So that's what I forgot to mention. In any of the businesses that we start as One Small Town members in our town, all the businesses we start, we will always retain a minimum of 60% profit share in all those businesses. This is a big deal. So nobody can ever come and close down our businesses or undermine our businesses or do things that we don't like because we're the majority shareholders.
Yeah.
This is big news. So when we contribute our time towards any of the businesses, it's not a job. I'm contributing my time as a shareholder towards my company to make it a success. So no Labor Department can come after us. So that legality is taken care of. Secondly, you spoke about will they try and come after us because we try and work outside the system? No, we're paying taxes for all the businesses that we start. We're obviously going to try and pay as little tax as possible because we're going to use the tax advisors to advise us like Bill Gates does to pay as little tax as we possibly can. But at the same time, we go, we abide by the rules and the laws. So we can't be accused to be some cult or anything like that because it's not a cult. It's a bunch of people that decide to start their own businesses together. That's in essence what it is. And we've created a membership to do that. And then all the profits from the businesses in your town, in my town, are distributed automatically because of the blockchain, are distributed every month automatically to all the members. So, and that's where you then have to deal with your own personal tax.
Yeah.
So you then as an individual are going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's taken many, many years to iron out all these different things, And what kind of legal corporate structured entity do you register the business in? In South Africa, we registered as a non-profit company, which is the easiest and the quickest way to do it. In the UK, it's most likely going to be a community interest company or something like
Yeah.
that, CIC. That's where it's leaning towards. In the USA, it's a non-profit company that is connected to a bunch of for-profit companies, LLCs, that are working on behalf and for the non-profit company. So every country, we've had to figure out what are the best structures. So in its idea, oh, we go all gonna get together, work together, and do all this stuff. It's a simple idea. Many people have had this idea. That's why so many people have tried to start their intentional communities because they just want out of the slavery system. But once you start, you realize that without structure,
Yeah.
without reporting systems, without accountability, without a accounting system that nobody can run away and with the money or cheat anybody, without a blockchain that manages this, it is impossible to do it. And we're now at the stage where everything is in place, and it's up to people to start saying, "Wow, this is great. I want to do this," and put up their hand, and then we'll slowly take them through it. And that's really what my trip to the UK is all about, to England, is to do these workshops to show people how they can launch one small town on a low level without jumping into the deep end.
Yeah. So many questions, so I'm trying to think what's going to be the most important for the listeners. So I absolutely love this. Coming back to my question that I started off with, Michael, that one of the things that a lot of people in my community I know that we face is the fact that we're finding like-minded people across the globe, but we are not finding them in our local communities at the moment. And that can be a real challenge because people need to be looking for something different, I would imagine, for this. So what are your plans in terms of, or what help do you need for getting something off the ground? Your UK trip with the workshops is going to be a big one, but I'm just thinking it's a chicken and egg situation to me, that as soon as someone's actually starting to do this, then it will snowball really quickly. But you need that pioneer group to actually get something and show and prove concept, so to speak, in real life.
Yes, so there are various ways of doing this. Now, you might think that you it's difficult to find like-minded people in your own town. It might seem like that, but until you actually go out and do some legwork, until you go
Yeah.
out and put up some pamphlets in the coffee shops and in once you start putting up pamphlets and say, we're having a meeting, this is what we're doing, we're starting one small town, check it out on the internet. I'm having our first meeting at such and such a venue. We can get together of people that they're interested in launching this, and you'd be surprised. The people come out of the woodwork. They
Yeah.
come crawling out of hiding because suddenly they find something that they've been looking for and waiting for. So you will find 10 or 20 people in any town, absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's all you need. Quite frankly, then that's what you need to start. Once you've got 10 or 20 people doing something down the street, and that's when the visibility becomes important. Whether they want some more town t-shirts, whether they're picking up rubbish or doing something that becomes visible as a group effort with a united feel of a t-shirt and a logo and all that, how quickly people pay attention, say, wow, who is this? Who are these people? Why? What are you doing? What is this one small town thing? How do I get involved? And I know this from personal experience. So this is where I come in and help guide the people to say, okay, do this. If there's only 10 of you, let's do this. If there's 20 or 50 of you, let's do that. And then we start getting involved in sports, arts, culture, recreation.
Yeah.
That's absolutely critical. Once you start getting involved in the sports, arts, culture, recreation, especially in countries like South Africa, then you get into the hearts and minds of the people. With our Once More Town art gallery, for example, we've created a whole new paradigm in the world of selling art. In an art gallery, for example, imagine just finding an old shop that's deserted, or a barn or a warehouse or a factory that's standing deserted that you can get for next to nothing, and turn that into the local art gallery which is open to all the artists to come and display their art. Once you sign up as a One Small Town artist, any future sale of your work of art, you will earn a 10% royalty on that sale. So that doesn't exist anywhere else. This is a whole new paradigm and a revolutionary move. So why would I, as an artist, want to sell my art through any other art gallery rather than the One Small Town art gallery, where everywhere else I make a sale once off and that's it, my art's gone. If I sell it through One Small Town art gallery, every time it's resold to somebody, I get a 10% royalty. It's sold through an ongoing chain through the One Small Town a blockchain. And see, that also helps with verifying the authenticity.
Yeah.
So what we've created with a One Small Town art gallery with this whole the art itself becomes an NFT in essence. So now there's a way of checking that the art is the original, that it's not a knockoff.
Yeah.
Right. So the buyer feels secure that it's the real deal, that it's not a knockoff. And so we've literally created what I believe a very exciting historic event here for artists around the world. So just that in a small community, it's a game-changing situation.
It is,
And
and I'm thinking about the education and the health system
yeah,
and all those sort of things. So many parallel models that would fit into that. Yeah,
if I may just tell you about the One Small Town store. Now in South Africa, it's going to take on a slightly different angle. Different countries will have slightly different adaptations of the model. But in South Africa, we got huge 40% unemployment or something. It's insane. It's insane what our disgusting government has done over 30 years. From one of the greatest countries in the world to literally hanging on while they keep destroying everything. So that's changing, and a lot of so-called first world countries are starting to feel that same kind of pressure. Unemployment rising, there are no jobs being created, there's no silver lining or a light at the end of the dark and gloomy tunnel. People are feeling desperate and stressed and worried about their future and their children's future especially.
yeah,
So the One Small Town initiative literally provides a secure future for people in small towns, for themselves and their children. And it all starts with making sure we grow enough food for ourselves, that we not only sell the food and make loads of profit from food, because food is very profitable if you know how to grow it and what to do, and that's where our farmers come in. And once we start setting up other businesses that make high profits, we're creating financial stability for ourselves in fiat currency, but we're also creating a community stability where we start taking care of each other. And if the crap should hit the fan at any stage, or if the banks had to close their door, or if some disaster strikes, you're much safer in a community that takes care of themselves, of each other, than being on your own somewhere trying to hoard stuff and it's like that. Yeah, that's unfortunately the consequence of this divisive political slavery system, that they keep dividing people, dividing us by race, dividing us by religion, dividing us by everything. It's crazy. The separate and divide people so that they don't cooperate and collaborate. We're changing that with One Small Town.
absolutely. And I know I heard you speak before about things like water and energy and things like that, and taking back control of that for your area.
Yeah. So one of the things, and I completely forgot to finish the story of the One Small Town trading store, because that's
Yeah,
what it is. So before we come to let's put electricity and water and all that aside. We
yeah,
must come back to that because I know a lot of people are really interested in that. And we have solutions for everything, literally. You can think of anything that you might think is a problem in your town or in your community. We already have a solution for it. It's just how are we going to implement it? Now, I can't tell you that. It's you and your community that's going to have to figure out how to implement it. We have the tools to bring the solution. It's just how to use those tools to implement it. But let's come back to that because, again, every country, every town, will potentially be a different situation. But we've gone through all of them and we have ideas and solutions for a lot of it. So the One Small Town trading store is truly a game changer again. The trading store belongs to our members, to the One Small Town members in our community. And we decide what we put on the shelves and so forth. So It's a trading store in the sense that if I've got something I don't want, whether it's old clothes or an old lawnmower or a bicycle or a fridge or anything I don't need, or I've got too much food, or I make homemade jams, right? And I don't know where to sell them. So I take my stuff to the Once More Town store. The manager that runs it, who's a Once More Town member that runs that store, uh, they evaluate, what it is that you have, and then they evaluate it and give you infinity tokens on your membership card. Instead of paying fiat, getting given fiat currency, you get given infinity tokens. Now you can use that membership card of yours. It's like a credit card. And you can see what else there is on the shelf. There might be some sugar or clothes or flour, or anything you want. As long as you got infinity tokens in your card, you can get stuff off the shelf. And that changes everything. And the reason we came up with that is because in the beginning, we were under the impression that people would just trade and exchange stuff like we did with Bitcoin in the beginning,
Yeah.
right? People would write invoices and say, I accept Bitcoin. And then I say, oh, cool, I'll pay you in Bitcoin. And then the transaction takes place outside of the fiat currency system, which is really interesting. So once you've got infinity tokens and you want to sell me your car, I'll say we'll agree on how many tokens. I'll send you the tokens with my digital wallet. It takes 30 seconds. You accept the tokens and you transfer the car into my name. So as far as the government's concerned, you've given me the car. There's been no
Yeah.
transaction. There's no financial transaction. It's a private exchange between you and I. So this is a whole game changer. So in the beginning, we thought that people would just exchange stuff. Oh well, I've got a bicycle, but I don't have a bag of corn flour. And in Africa, that's stapled food. So I'm basing everything on, because I'm in South Africa, I'm basing
Yeah.
things on the need of the people here around me. And people are hungry; they need food every day. And I'm not kidding. I'm really not lying. Every day I buy probably between a 5 and a 10 kilogram bag of corn flour for somebody somewhere in my town that's hungry every
Wow.
day. Yeah. That's how bad it is,
Mm.
right? So now I've got too much corn flour, or get some jam, and you've got a bicycle, or and you say, well, I want some corn flour, but I don't have money. Can I give you some tokens? Sure, and I'll send you some tokens, and you give me a bag of corn flour. Done. However, some people are just not technically savvy. Some people can't do the thing on their cell phone, or they might not have a smartphone. But once
Yeah.
you're a member, you have a membership card. And I've got to show you this. Excuse me. Let me grab my wallet,
Do.
because I'm so proud of this, because this is truly so historic. So when you become a member, you automatically get a Once More Town membership card. That's it. It's very simple. And on the back, you just write your name. You don't have to write your full name. Just write your name. So in case you drop it, you know that that's your card. But the QR code there connects directly to your membership account. It doesn't go into the account, but it identifies whose card it is. So even if you lose it, we know, you can find it. And this is like a credit card. It works with a QR code. So this is when you go and do your 3 hours a day or 3 hours a week or whatever. You arrive at the whatever it is you're doing. There's a supervisor there with a cell phone with a QR code reader that's connected to that project where it's picking up rubbish. You come in and the supervisor scans your card, your QR code, and the system automatically logs you in that you've arrived to do 3 hours picking up rubbish or making bricks or baking bread or whatever it is for 3 hours. At the end of it, you scan out again the supervisor, and if you've done more than 3 hours, the system automatically puts one infinity token into your digital wallet. And so now at the end of the week, if you do this every day, you can do it every day for 3 hours. You can do it every day for 6 hours if you want. All depends what's available in your town.
Yeah.
So every time you do 3 hours, you get an infinity token into your card. Now, at the end of the week, you go to the Once More Town trading store and you see what you need and you pay for it in tokens.
Brilliant.
So I hope you're starting to connect the
Yes.
dots,
Yes, I am.
how powerful this thing is.
You can see my little brain clogging away in the background here.
And
Yeah.
and when you said, this is a global thing. So now I decide, I'm going to go from England to South Africa. I'm coming to visit my cousin here for 6 months, and I arrive, and it happens to be a small town. So I go, cool. I go to the one small town office. I say, hi, I'm Michael. I'm from England, and they say, oh, cool, excellent. They scan my card, and they know exactly instantly what I'm good at. Am I a dentist? Am I an engineer? And what I've contributed over the last years or whatever to my community in England. And they'll know, oh, wow, you're a dentist. Wow, this is fantastic. We definitely can need your help. Or you're a baker. We can certainly need your help in our bakery, and et cetera, et cetera. So they automatically know how to integrate you into the community that you're now going to be staying in, visiting your cousin for the next 6 months. And that means that you're now getting all the benefits.
Brilliant.
The food benefits, everything else. So instantly you contribute towards the well-being of the community through your skills. Or if they don't need a dentist and they don't need a baker, they don't need, a carpenter, you can just then go and pick up rubbish in the street and still get all the benefits. So it doesn't matter whether you're a heart surgeon or whether that's what you do for your community, or whether you're picking up rubbish or fixing sewage pipes. You're contributing 3 hours, and your benefits are exactly the same as anybody else that's contributed 3 hours to the community.
Love
So
it. I absolutely love it. And I'm just sort of thinking, I don't know a lot about it, but I know in Japan, they have a lot of elderly, retired, widowed people sort of contributing to the community. And that purpose is a key part to longevity. So you can see how that could fit with retired people and things really beautifully.
yeah.
Um,
It's
it's
that's very important. That's a very important part of it. It's, you can think of any group of people, from disabled people
yeah,
to people with Down syndrome, to elderly people, to young children.
children. Yeah,
Obviously, one small town, you got to be 16 years or older to become a member.
yeah,
But even younger children can participate in ways that I'm not going to go into the details. But primary school children can still participate and help the community without getting the other benefits in that, because we don't want to look like we're exploiting children.
yeah,
But we create opportunities for children to learn. It's part of the education system that they actually contribute. So, but if you look at old age homes and retirement villages and so forth, those people are not useless. They can do things, that they might have skills, they might have sales skills, but they can't get a sales job, because they might have experience in engineering and
yeah.
technology and material sciences and things like God knows what, or knitting or sewing. And so all of that can become a community project as a little business on its own. So every time these people do whatever they're good at, they're earning their tokens, and they're providing a product that can then be sold and profits brought into that community.
I love it. I love it. We've got something over here. I don't know where else, what other countries are in, called Repair Shed, where a lot of people will donate their skills to repairing, whether it's electronics, leather, furniture, sewing machines, you name it. It's fantastic. And people love it because that sense of contribution is so, so important, and it's so missing for most people.
So you
So,
see, all those kind of things, Catherine,
yeah,
all those kind of activities are really important. Now, they don't need to stop what they're doing. They
no,
can continue doing what they're doing, but just do it as a one small town initiative in your community. So now all the people that are contributing towards that repair shed are going to be feeling good about it, contributing their time. But now they're earning tokens, and they get a
yes,
plate of food, and they can then go and take their tokens and get stuff at the one small town store, instead of just contributing their time at the repair shed and getting nothing out of it. Now
yeah,
they get so much more out of it when it becomes part of the One Small Town initiative. So we're closing the loop. So you contribute something towards your community, and we close the loop so that you get something in return. But because you've contributed something, there's no handouts.
yeah,
So in South Africa, we've got a lot of community kitchens where they feed people, and
yeah,
and it's sponsored by some sort of a charity who obviously taking all the profits off the top and giving a little bit to the people. So people are getting rich off these charities, and now they just spoon feeding people food, and they're doing nothing for it. And
yeah.
that's a terrible situation. So we don't do charity. Um,
It's a
and we
terrible
encourage.
situation for so many different ways, and probably another, I might have to get you back for another conversation, but I love it. So tell us about your UK trip. Tell us how people, obviously I'm going to put all the links below, whatever podcast or platform or YouTube you're listening to, all the links will below, but give people a feel about how they can really get involved, Michael.
Right. Thanks, Catherine. So the first thing, first of all, go onto our website, onesmalltown.org, and sign up as a member. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to live in a small town. You don't have to commit to anything. This is just sign up as a member. This is the early days of One Small Town. We're signing up members in all countries, preferably English-speaking countries at this stage, and just be a member and tell everybody else. Um, then read through the website and try and understand exactly what we're doing, what it takes to become an ambassador, what is the role of the ambassador, what's the role of the community project coordinator, and so forth. And then decide what role you think you could play in your community. And my trip to the UK is really, and so I'm going to be in two places, in Buxton on the 29th of June, and then in Dorking.
Talking near me. Yeah.
Dorking, yeah. Hope so. We'll see you there, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely.
Dorking on the 5th of July, right? And we might organize some events just before and in between. Might be one or two other events that we organize, but those are the two main full-day workshops where we unpack what people in England and the UK can do if they really want to get involved with One Small Town, how they can launch One Small Town on an easy entry level without jumping off a deep end and because there's a big picture scenario, where you sign up as an ambassador, you put together a whole team of business planners, project manager, accountant, a sales manager, agricultural advisor, and so forth. And then that team puts together a 2-year plan. What businesses are we going to start? What community upliftment projects are we going to do? That team literally is going to be the nucleus of the think tank of how we can improve and fix our town, including what businesses can we start that'll make as much profit as we can. So that's a high road. But there's also a low road of getting involved and launching One Small Town, whether it's with a small art gallery or a One Small Town store, which we call One Small Town for England and for the UK. We've changed the dynamics a little bit so that it's more like a community hub, a meetup place for One Small Town members, where more and more services and benefits are being shared and presented to the community and shared with the members. So that's a low-level entry, and it's a beautiful model, which includes like a cafe, a little trading store, also a little area where we provide certain health services, and whether it's a Rife machine or ozone breathing machine or something like that you don't need a health center for, you can do that anyway, And so it's a great little model that we've put together for England. And we've been working on that really hard. So it makes financial sense. It's financially viable. It makes a profit. And I know that our English ambassador, Michael, has been working very hard on the business plan for this, so that those business-minded people in England or in the UK are going to see this. They're going to go, wow, this is great. This is a no-brainer. I've got £200,000. I'll take half of that, because I think I think it's about £85,000 or something, or £100,000 to start it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give everything away, but these are the workshops we're going to do. So we're going to look at the high road. We're going to look at the problems, the obstacles, the questions that people have. Lots of Q&A. We've got a whole day to go through, and then come up with a simple, easy entry level for people in England to launch One Small Town. And once it's launched and you've got a gathering place where members come together and they make a profit while they're growing the awareness, that's what we want to get going.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And just to finish off on the intentional community side of things, what have you learned about, us people? That's why I prefer animals. We're a funny species, and egos can get involved, and we know how power can corrupt people. I mean, that's why you're one of the main reasons you're trying to do this. So what have you learned in your journey, Michael, about avoiding that trap of the power trap, and it's starting off with good intentions and a few people with big egos and big power drives taking over?
Yeah, it's a very important question, and one that I've worked very hard to make sure that can't happen. And if you think about intentional communities, It's normally one or two people that either have a piece of land, right? And they say, well, I want to use my land to start a community and I'll bring people to my land. So ultimately, it's that person that owns the land or provides the services or whatever, or funds things that
Yeah.
becomes the god or the supreme leader of that intentional community. And then unfortunately, that's where the moment you get that situation and there's a hierarchy, it falls flat very quickly. In a one small town scenario, there is really no hierarchy. There's an ambassador that's been appointed, but if the ambassador does a bad job, the ambassador will be replaced.
Yeah.
So it's literally like a community. We have a one small town community council. So yeah, and those council members are changed on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And the so and again, remember it's we're starting businesses, and as long as you're a member and we start a business and that business makes a profit and it's successful, I don't care if the guy running that business is an arrogant prick. I really don't care. As long as that business is making good profits, because I'm getting a share of those profits. I'm contributing my 3 hours. So I don't care if you're an arrogant asshole and you're running one of the big businesses in town. Good for you. Make sure it runs smoothly. The rest of us providing our 3 hours, we do our share, we've structured it so you can't collapse it. One individual cannot collapse it. It's simply impossible.
Brilliant. I love it. Thank you so much for your time today. Now, I will be putting all the links below, regardless of what platform you're listening to this on. For those people in the UK particularly, come and find out. I'll be putting the workshop details below. Please just come, even if you're just curious, you're not committing yourself to anything at this stage at all. Any final words to encourage people to come along, Michael, and find out more?
Exactly what you just said, Catherine. Come and find out more. You're not committing to anything. No one is there's nothing compulsory. You're not obliged to join anything. Come and meet us. Meet me, meet Julia, our UK ambassador, Michael Chamberlain, our England ambassador for One Small Town. They're incredible people. They've been working relentlessly around the clock on their own. They're using their own time and money to make this thing work in the UK and in England. So incredible group of people, and it's going to be an exciting journey of discovery and meeting like-minded people and finding solutions that will hopefully be implemented by a handful or maybe a large number of people. Who knows what happens after July the 5th in Dorking.
I love it. I love it. And look, anyone listening, final words from me. We all know one of the definitions of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. We're all disgruntled. We're all fed up. I think a lot of us have had our eyes open to so much corruption, lies, programming. I'm just running a series at the moment, Michael, on deprogramming, all the ways we've been programmed. This is our chance just to really just put all that aside and start something new. So you'd be absolutely foolish not to at least come along and find out. So thank you so much, Michael. It's a real pleasure. I'm sure we'll be back to find out more after your trip, and I will see you in Dorking.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Great to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you in the flesh in Dorking.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And if you feel inspired, please do share with your friends and family. This helps us spread the word and also helps me encourage some exciting new guests to take part in this podcast. And above all, stay curious and stay free.